Hello everyone, today we are going to study about art and architecture. The Gupta age marks the beginning of the freestanding temple architecture. Only a few of the hundreds that must have been built have survived to house either representations of the gods, mainly incarnations of Vishnu, or lingas, images of Shakti cult goddesses, also began to appear in increasing number and sizes, particularly of Durga and Mother Goddess. Examples of Gupta architecture that are found in the much restored Gupta temple at Sanchi, the Kankaliya Tila at Tigwa, Jabalpur, together with the only partially rock-cut cave at Udaygiri, are probably the earliest of the surviving shrines, and the remaining temples belong to the later half of the 5th century to the early 6th century. And the Swatara temple at the Diogar near Jhansi, AD 510, is a large and more elaborate edifice with a pyramidal tower. Beta or Bidar now in Uttar Pradesh has ruins of a number of ancient Gupta temples. The typical Gupta temple is flat-roofed with a shikara or more rarely with a low slanted shikara. It consists of cubical garbha griha in which the central cult image was placed. The seat of the images was shifted to the walls of the temple, and a single entrance and mandapa or porch. It had rows of pillars with the vase and foliage capitals, square pedestals, and octagonal shafts. The doorways were carved with bands of figures in relief. A special motif being a row of Mathuna male and female couples. From the Gupta period onwards, temples were largely built in stone instead of the usual brick or wood. It was in the 8th century that the Hindu temple in northern India came into its own. Iconographical formulations, still variable and experimental in the Kushan times, become fixed, and almost every major type was established in the Gupta period. The Puranas provided the basis for the iconography of most Gupta art, including the great high relief tablets on the lives of the gods, which is among the chief glories of Indian sculpture. The Gupta style was modeled on the architectural norms established by the Mathura school. From the Gandhar, the Gupta style derived certain stylizations, particularly the knife sharp beating of the eye socket and blow. The first dated sculpture in a full-fledged early Gupta style are from Vidisha and the nearby Udaygiri caves in the Madhya Pradesh. The caves at ground level are important not architecturally but for the characteristic images. For example, the four-armed standing Vishnu with plain cylindrical crown standing stiff-legged in Sampada flanked by Ayodhya Purushas, the personified weapons or symbols is among the most charming creations of the Gupta period. Durga killing the demon buffalo in the Arcus Ayodhya pose, her right foot on buffalo's head to indicate her mastery. Vishnu incarnated as the boar with a man's head, praising the goddess Earth, Bihu Devi from the primal waters in the Great Boat panel are other major examples. An important sculpture of the Gupta period was obtained from nearby Valsnagar, a beautiful Vishnu head wearing a mukut with its single lance head. It has nothing in common with Udaygiri sculpture, but points to the finest Mathura tradition. Also from the Bensnagar is a superb but battered group of goddesses, the Sapta Madrakas or seven mothers sitting upright on the benches with carved baluster legs. They are also fully rounded figures, an early Gupta feature. At Iran in ancient Arakina is located the Grand Thermographic Bore, the earliest and the largest example of the purely form of Vishnu at Varaha, which was to have such a long bow. Vishnu as Narsimha, Manland, is also here. The masterpiece of the Iran style is the magnificent Varaha in human form, human body with a boar's head, displaying insolent triumph. And Sanchi was an important center of sculpture in the 5th century, the seated Buddha have splendid decorated halos and large attendant figures. The style has affinities to Mathura and western UP rather than with areas further east. The images have the down east glance, thence was associated with the Buddhas of the Gupta tradition. The most impressive achievement of the Gupta sculpture at Mathura are the standing Buddhas. The largest surviving complete example is 7 feet high. The finest Hindu sculpture is the Vishnu, unfortunately, without legs or lower arms. There are some excellent Gupta Muklingas, lingas with one or more heads emerging. The Sarnath Buddha, late 5th century, show an almost unique perfection, and their faces are those of beings who have transcended the world of samsara and exist in a state of perfect spiritual awareness, perfectly proportioned as the bodies to have a miraculous harmony. They are among the world's masterpieces, classic, both being unraveled and in the historical sense in determining the form which the Buddha image was to take for centuries. One of the majority of the Sarnath Buddha statues. Sankhya Muni is seated, his hands in the mudra of Dharmachakra Pravartana, setting the wheel of the law in motion, preaching the first sermon in the Deer Park at Sarnath, unquestionably the finest Hindu image of the Gupta period so far known from eastern UP is from Varanasi. The great 6 feet to 10 Krishna Govardhana in Chunar sandstones where Krishna is holding up the Govardhana mountain, one of the loveliest of all Indian sculptures in the Gandhwa lintel or frieze. In the center of a narrow carving stands Vishnu Vishwarupa, one of his seminatory forms. At one end is Surya in his chariot against a circular disc, at the other Chandra, the moon, seated with his consort on a crescent moon and a part of a long procession of musicians, young girls and others bearing food. The Gandhwa lintel is unique in the absence of purely decorative elements. No jewelry is even worn, and by the skillfully rhythmic placing and variety of attitudes of the procession, adeptly representing three-dimensional poses. It represents the zenith of the Gupta narrative relief. With the exception of the broken vihars at Bagh in western Malwa, there is no mainstream rock-cut architecture within the erstwhile Gupta dominions. The caves at Udaigiri being of little architectural importance. The remains of paintings, Asian paintings at Ajanta in four of the later caves and fragments of the paintings at Bagh is all we have from the Gupta period. Ajanta had attracted the monastic community early. The two Chaitya halls and the three small viharas were cut out of rocks in Satavahanas. However, it was in the later half of 5th century under the Vakas that the second and great phase of the rock cut architecture was inaugurated in the most splendid fashion, with some 23 new caves, though all were not completed. The large body of the Gupta paintings here provided more decorative detail than relief. The main theme are taken from the Jatakas. The technique of the Ajanta paintings is not true frescoes in the Italian sense, but fresco. The paintings are one of the truly classical glories of Indian art. Draftsmanship is devoid of glitches, but rich and full of life both in composition and color. White is used sparingly and blue hardly at all. The themes do not occupy horizontal bands as well as usual for murals in India, but radiate from a central figure. The damaged murals at Bagh are very much in the Ajanta tradition.